student council today who are going to be interviewing some of our past pupils. Our panel today are Mr. Cleary, Oisin Douglas, Emmett MacDonald, Adam Malloy and Daniel Olani. So the first question is from Pierce MacDonald, and I'm going to let him introduce the question.
So as Ms. Ellis said, I'm the chairperson of the Student Council here in Moyle Park. It's good to see so many familiar faces. And the first question is going to Oisin Douglas. And can you describe your favourite memory from your time in Moyle?
Cheers, Pierce. Thanks for the question. I've had a few. Like, I went on the ski trip in second year. That was unreal. Went to Italy then in sixth year. That was a good trip as well. But I'd say my favourite one probably would have been winning the Dublin 14s League with the football team. We lost in the first year and then won in second year, and then we got to the final there twice then afterwards, but we never won it. So I'd say actually having a medal to say, yeah, we won it once. Now that was a nice one.
So our second question is advice for students from Keane Roach, our transition year students. So Keane?
This question's for Adam Malloy. Adam, do you have any advice for well-being or for positive mental health?
Thanks very much for your question, Keane. This is a good question, definitely, especially with today's world and what's going on at the minute. It's obviously very important. Something that was prevalent for me going out, I've left Moyle Park since 2016, but I even noticed as I was going through the school, from when I entered in fourth year to the time I left in sixth year, there was definitely, it felt like it was a much more acceptable place almost to speak about these things as I was progressing through the school. When I first came in, I felt like that kind of masculine environment, you know, just surrounded by boys, and you didn't really want to talk if there was anything going wrong, or it was very much just keep it to yourself and deal with it. Whereas as I progressed through the school, younger teachers were coming in, you know, there was almost like a different environment altogether. And by the time I left, it was definitely a place where I would have felt comfortable sharing if you know, anything was going wrong or I needed some help and support. And I'm sure that trend has continued since I've left and has grown even more over recent years. Even with the likes of this event that's being run today, is, you know, something like this never happened for us when we were in the school. So I think it is an environment now that it is a much more acceptable and open place where you can share things if, you know, something is up or you do need a bit of help or support with anything that's going on. So the biggest advice that I'd give, particularly everyone knows the situation with males in particular when it comes to mental health, is to just be open with things and don't be afraid to ask for the support or help if you need it. I know that when I was going through the school, there were situations that I was going through that I needed some help with, and anyone who I opened up to or asked for that from were more than willing and more than happy to give me that help and support when I needed it. So that would be my main advice to you guys, is to don't be afraid to speak out or share or open up if you do need some help and support with anything at all. The teachers are always more than willing to point you in the right direction or give you a help in hand if they can. So that would be my advice.
Fantastic. So our next question then is from NoFat.
I'm NoFat. I'm a second year. I have a question for Emmett. Can you describe your favorite trip or a fun time you had when you were in Moyle Park College?
Well, I actually got to go on a few trips in Moyle Park, but two of them were Marist specific for like learning leadership skills or whatever. And I remember specifically Scotland, which was, they told us it was all team building exercise. It was really an excuse to throw us out into the woods and see how long we'd last. But I had a great time with it, especially there was one time we were all on a lake in canoes or whatever, and someone was bragging that he was an expert at this because he'd kayaked for ages, and as soon as he got into the lake, he capsized. And then I didn't capsize at all, so I just got to laugh at him the whole time, which was great fun for me. As well, we all did learn and we made friends. And I still keep in contact with some of the people from that trip every year. They remind me of the fact that that guy capsized and I didn't, which is great for my own self-confidence.
Thanks, Emmett. Fantastic tip. Okay, so Reece Hickey from second year is going to introduce our next question.
This question's for Daniel Olani. What advice we should give to a Moyle Park student?
Hi, Reece. Thanks. That's a good question. I suppose I'd probably boil it down to maybe two things. The one favourite phrase I learned one time is, don't be a 3 o'clock man. Like, what do I mean by that? In school, it starts at like 8:30 and finishes at 3:40 Monday, Tuesday. Then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it finishes at, it starts from 8:30 till 3. And what I mean is, to school maybe at 8:30, and this is typically for first years, and then 6 years you're about to go to college, and then just leave at 3. And there's so much other things beyond the classroom. There's sports, there's like GAT, there's boxing, there's like what you guys are doing now, student council, there's debating. And those things are as essential and as important, like from what I've learned anyway, in terms of kind of life. Like if you go, the only thing I've really kind of learned is if you go into an interview, like if somebody gets you into the room, what gets you a job is your personality. Your personality is actually really formed by the people you meet. So if you're meeting different people from different backgrounds, be it boxing, taekwondo, drumming, I don't know if they do that anymore, or like whatever it is, your personality, develops more and more because you're just meeting different people. So I suppose that's one thing I'd always say. Like I always tell people. Kind of the only other thing I would say is just like test your boundaries, dream, and go beyond your comfort zone. And one of the best times of my life when I was in college was when I was away in the States for 1 year, but I almost didn't go because I was scared. I was like, God, I'm not going to be able to do this. But it was the best year of my life. So I would say, in terms of the middle advice, I give to all students in my life, always test your boundaries. Don't just do things.
Thank you so much, Daniel. So Raul from 5th year is going to introduce our next question.
Hey, so this one's from Mr. Cleary. Did you make any lasting friendships when you were in school? Do you still keep in contact with them?
Yeah, thanks, Phil. I definitely made a lot of lasting friendships at the varying degrees. There's a handful, I'd say about maybe 4 or 5 who I'd still talk to on a daily basis, and before COVID and stuff, would have met up with them at least once a week. And then there's another who I don't talk to them as often, but I still keep in contact with a good few of them sporadically, occasionally seeing them once or twice every couple of months, normally once a year. So I definitely kept some of them, and some of them would still be in my closest friends today, which is a good sign for the school considering I've been gone a fair while at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Cleary. So then we have Reem from 2nd year is going to introduce our next question, and this one is open to the floor, so anybody can jump in and answer this one.
I'm Reen, and what is your favorite subject, lesson, or teacher, and why?
Anyone can jump in. Go on.
I'll start. So my favorite subject was actually only my favorite subject because my favorite teacher taught the subject. So favorite subject would have been accounting that I done in 5th and 6th year, and the teacher I had was Mr. Roebuck. And I just loved everything that Mr. Roebuck said. He was like such an influential figure for me growing up through the school. I had him for business in 1st to 3rd year, and then business and accounting in 5th to 6th year. So I literally seen him pretty much every day I was in school all throughout my time throughout Moyle Park. And he was always a teacher that stood out for me as, he really just seemed to care about the student as opposed to just the coursework or the grades you were getting. He was very much of a standpoint of just trying to improve each person as an individual as opposed to just trying to hit a certain grade or, make a certain score on a test. And he was always open and available to talk about anything, even if it wasn't directly related to the coursework you were doing. He was flexible in his approach. He'd stay back after class to explain things. He'd put on extra classes or do some outside work, and he was always just there and willing and ready to go that extra yard, I suppose, to help the students. And that was something that really stood out to me, not even just from a school standpoint, but even just, I suppose, growing up as a person. What kind of man do you want to become as you grow up and become older? And those kind of lessons that I took from that classroom applied to multiple different aspects of life, even through to today. And I still have so many great memories of being in that classroom and learning so much valuable information that maybe wasn't directly related to what was coming up on an exam, but helped me even later on in life at different time periods. And he's a teacher who I'd still have some contact with today through email now and again. So favourite subject would have been accounting, but it was more so the teacher than the subject I enjoyed.
Yeah, I join Adam actually saying Mr. Roebuck. I really hope he's listening because I actually never had him as a teacher for 1st year, 2nd year, 3rd year. And then I was going into 5th year and I was kind of debating whether or not to do business or economics. So I I've never met this man. I've never met him before. I've just heard about it. But he told me to do economics and not do business because he said, Dan, you're this kind of guy, and business is a little bit narrow. You should do this. I was like, how does he know this about me? So I did business instead, just because he was teaching. I was like, if this lad knows this about me, and I've never had him as teaching before, I want to know more about it. Then we did a mentoring program in 6th year. Because Callahan set it up, I think, anyway, because he was a fixer at the time. He was my assigned mentor. And again, he was a man who taught beyond the classroom. I encourage all teachers to always continue to do that. That's teach beyond the classroom. He taught me lessons that I still use, till this day. But I'm back in Dublin or living here in England or whatever it is. He really was a man who understood you, like your personality, again, things that are a little bit beyond academia. So yeah, shout out to Mr. Young. He was my favourite teacher as well.
Oisín, can I ask who was your favourite subject?
My favourite subject, I'd say, probably would have been geography from when I started. First to third year, I had Mr. Kenny, so kind of, as well as like he was like good teacher, easy to get on with and stuff. Like, he wouldn't be afraid to kind of call you out, like if you were sitting in the back messing or something like that. Like I remember when we were coming up like the week before the mock, and we had a GA match, and he told me if I didn't pass the mock, the day after, I wasn't playing the GA match. So like he'd always kind of put you, like, as much as kind of like football and stuff is important, like, well, to me it was, you kind of realised like it wasn't the end all, like kind of you need to do the grades and stuff. So I'd say that geography, and then gone into 5th and 6th year, then I had Miss Kelly. So kind of like I had a great laugh in that class, like for the 2 years. Kind of it was like 2 years, like you'd always look forward, like Thursday morning double geography, like you kind of skip into school for them kind of classes, even though like you might have been taking 2 or 3 essays down and like your hand would be falling off you. Like I always like had a lot of respect for it, just like kind of the amount of work we got done, and it didn't feel like we'd done anything. Like kind of you'd be smiling and having a laugh. So I kind of just really enjoyed going to them classes.
Love that, brilliant. She'd be really happy to hear that too, I think, Oisín. Emmett, I'm going to come to you. Your favourite subject?
I'm going to take the political answer and say I like them all, but I know Miss Corsgadden is watching because I can see her name there, so I'm going to specifically say I really enjoyed English, because in English, as long as you kind of understand what you're doing, you can say whatever you want. I remember with the poetry, we were doing Yeats, and I said something along the lines of, yes, because Yeats had no idea how to talk to girls, and it was just taken as, yeah, no, of course, and just written down in all our notes. I was just getting to make jokes and kind of say whatever about what we were learning. And I hope I'm reading this right and I was actually doing well in English. Otherwise, I've completely misread my experiences there. But I really did just enjoy the freedom of English class and saying whatever I wanted. She's looking at me now. What do I do?
She's listening to you now. Brilliant. This is great. Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Emmett. Mr. Cleary, I'm going to ask you now the same question.
I'm going to avoid mentioning the teacher because I still work with a good chunk of them now, so just take the kind of smart approach and not name a teacher. But the subject was English was my favourite because a good chunk of English played into my natural ability to waffle on for hours, so it was quite handy to be able to utilise that skill. And also I did really enjoy my English teacher. I'll say his next year actually not in the school anymore. I had Mr. Kirby when I was in 5th and 6th year, same as Daniel, and he was a very good teacher and gave a lot of good feedback in it. But it was the teacher as well as the subject I really enjoyed.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to move on to our final question. Again, this one is open to the floor. So we have Timmy from 1st year who's going to introduce the final question.
Staff. Internet. Right. The last question is, what's your message to both the staff and current pupils at school?
Don't make me put you on the spot. Come on, jump in there.
I'll start with this one. I just like reiterate, like I really like what Daniel said there about don't be a 3 o'clock man. to students. Now that's like something that I would have never really heard of. Like I would have always been involved like with sport after school, like kind of staying back for different stuff, used to do night study, so I was there most evenings anyway. But I thought like I'm gonna like kind of sit in a night study one day. I remember like do it out playing rugby, and I was kind of like, sure, I might want to give that a try. Like, and like I was absolutely hopeless now. But yeah, like I just kind of that don't be a 3 o'clock man. Like kind of get involved in stuff, especially kind of progressing. It doesn't really matter what you want to do. If you're going to college, getting an apprenticeship, getting a job, kind of, it's always kind of handy to have something that you can talk back. It's like, well, afterwards, like nobody really wants to talk about what you got in maths or kind of what you did in school, but everyone wants to know like were you part of a football team, a rugby team, a debating club. It's kind of something extra that you can have that not like somebody else sitting beside you, like that might separate the two of you. So I think that's very important for students kind of progressing.
Brilliant bit of advice. Thank you so much, Oisín. That's great. Anyone else?
I'll jump in. Message to students. Well, the obvious one is, I think one that most young men struggle with is the idea of kind of just following the crowd, just doing what everyone else is doing, or, doing what all your mates might be doing. And especially with the environment you might have grown up around, whether it's like your parents or big brothers, or like I know for me growing up, I had a twin brother, so we were in the same year group going through the school. But aside from us two, like there was no one in our family who had ever gone on to even finish a leaving cert or go to university or do anything like that. So we would have been the first ones going through from our family that actually went and finished their leaving cert and went on and graduated from college. And then even in my friends group growing up throughout school, like there would have been people in that group who, didn't really study much or didn't really care or didn't want to go to university or might have went and dropped out. And I think it's always important to just remind yourself that, at the end of the day, it's your life. You're the one who's in control of where you're going. I understand the kind of temptation to do what everyone else might be doing because you want to fit in. And like that is important to have good friend groups, but also to understand that, just kind of limiting yourself to what you're able to achieve by trying to do what everyone else is doing, or limiting yourself of what you're capable of doing based on what experience other people around you think might have had, is not the right way to go about things. Allowing yourself, I suppose, to believe that you can go and achieve whatever it is that you want to do, as long as you're willing to put the work in and stay consistent with it, and not let yourself be defined, I suppose, by the limits of the people that are around you or the people that might have gone before you on that. And another, I suppose, little message to the students as well that I think would have helped me when I was growing up, going throughout the school is, and this may not apply to everyone, but don't take it too seriously as well. You try to have a bit of fun with it, and obviously to an extent, it's not all fun, but I think, we put so much pressure and emphasis on doing well in your leaving cert, and I certainly took that and ran with it to a point where it was nearly detrimental as opposed to positive. I stopped playing sports as much as I would have. All my, I suppose, identity went into studying and doing well in a set of exams that, I looked at and I think I would have enjoyed school a lot more and made even better friendships or relationships with friends or teachers if I had just taken a bit less pressure off myself for that, and understand that life is a lot longer than just your time in 5th and 6th year, and you've got a lot of time to achieve whatever it is you want to do. And if it doesn't happen the first time around to your leaving cert, it's okay. There's other doors into university and college. It's not the be all and end all in that sense. So just to take a bit of that pressure off yourself, I suppose, would have helped me to hear that as well.
So that's it. Well done, everybody. Thank you so much for logging on today and speaking to the students. I know that there was a lot of really good advice in there, and it's just brilliant hearing from yourselves and the boys sitting here in the seats, in the uniforms, being able to hear from people who've gone through it before, and some really brilliant pieces of advice and good memories. Thank you so much, and thank you to all of the students who logged in today to listen. And yes, I hope you have a fantastic Wednesday. We're on a Wednesday. Bye, guys. Well done. Thank you. Bye.